We're live. BYU 1-0. Central Arkansas win. They win 88-50. Takeaways from tonight.
Awesome game. Yegor Demin.
Yegor Demin's the storyline.
I don't have anything else to say.
So if you're new to this podcast, if you're not new, you knew. Because I don't think you will have found two bigger Yegor Demin fans after a scrimmage and after an exhibition game. And a lot of people in my life and in your life and BYU fans in general and everything were saying, you guys got a little blue goggles on you. I think you guys are even too high on this guy. You look at social media tonight, outside of election coverage, it was all about Yegor Demin in the college basketball world tonight.
Yeah, my Twitter feed is Yegor Demin. Yegor Demin. I can't believe he won Georgia. Yegor Demin. Yegor Demin. No, if people are hopping on the train like just from tonight. I mean, national guys. We had scouts in attendance. We got to talk to a few of them, which we'll talk about later on the podcast. Everyone's starting to realize how legit this kid is. And from the point we were last week, where some people were even like, "Oh, no points from Yegor. Do we need to be worried?" And you and I on this podcast were like, "No. You don't understand what he's doing right now. How good he looks. How good he makes the rest of the team." And today he just showed. Look, he can score as much as he wants. He can average double-digit assist games. I mean, he can do it all, and he makes his team run.
And that's the beauty of it. He will do whatever it takes to win. He said that multiple times in the presser, but we've seen it in 3 games where it hasn't been tight or anything, and obviously these are different exhibitions and a first game against Central Arkansas. But it's just, okay, what is needed tonight? What is needed in this exact moment? What is needed on this play? Because we saw when the second unit came in the first half tonight, they struggled a little bit, game got a little stale, and then immediately he comes in, makes a difference. They go on a 12-0 plus run.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that moment, I think, a little bit later on. Yeah. Kevin Young even said in the post-game presser, he talked to Yegor before the exhibition last game about taking what the defense gives you, right? Playing that role that the team needs that night. And he even pointed specifically tonight, I mean, just at this very table, that Yegor's role in the exhibition game was not to score as much, but to pass the ball. But tonight it was both, right? He was able to get his points, obviously 18 and 11 assists. Could have been a lot more assists, Carter, if guys were knocking down shots.
It could have been a lot more. And obviously people actually got to watch this game tonight, unlike the preseason game and the scrimmage. It was, I mean, you guys just finally got to see it. The world finally got to see it on ESPN Plus tonight. This guy is legit. And the game felt so slowed down for him. It almost felt easy to him in this game. Well, it can be a caveat, but you know, some of these guys, it was first game nerves and, you know, a little pressure and whatnot. That wasn't the case with Yegor whatsoever.
I know, and I think people forget he's 18 years old.
Yeah,
like he's European and he comes from like overseas, whatever. He's still 18, right? Mm-hmm. And so he was even talking about, again, at the post-game press conference, what it felt like to play his first Division I college basketball. But he looked leagues above everyone on the court tonight. And there's a point where you turn to me and you're like, it kind of looks like, you know, he's playing the JV team right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that attributes, I think, to his being able to play professionally in Europe and play overseas. The other guy that stood out tonight was Mihailo Boskovic, which we talked about.
And before we get into Boskovic, it's not Boskovic, by the way, Boskovic. That's not to discredit Central Arkansas. That's more so as this is going to be similar. This is going to be what it is this year for Yegor, where the game is slowed down. Now, it's easy to say that right now, but let's say when Houston comes to town and they're playing a full court press, and we know how Kelvin Sampson and them and how they like to play. That's where I'm very curious to see how he reacts. I think we'll get that during the San Diego tournament against Ole Miss and potentially Purdue. But as of now, man, it just looks so slowed down and so easy for him.
It really does. I mean, I don't know what else we can say other than just drooling over this kid right now, the way he controlled the basketball. And that one specific point you talked about. So, you know, BYU was actually got off to a pretty slow start against Central Arkansas. And about halfway through the first half, Central Arkansas went to a 2-3 zone. Yegor hit the bench, and BYU went on a scoring drought. And it was honestly ugly hoops, and it looked like they had never seen a zone in their lives. And that's not I'm not calling anyone out. It was bad. Yep. And if you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. And you know, we were turning to each other like, just 2-3 zone, get the ball in the middle, you know, make the right read, hit the shots. They put Yegor Demin in the game. First play, he gets the ball at the free throw line, penetrates, kicks to Richie, 3-pointer.
Zone is busted.
Zone's busted. 3 series later, after they score on all 3, they go back to man. I mean, it was that simple for him, and a thing that he brings to the table at 6'9", right? He plays point guard, but the second he gets into the paint, he can see everything else as well. And his ability to kick out, I mean, he threw several lobs to Cannon Catchings tonight. It's, I mean, I don't know what else to say compliment-wise. He's just looked so good.
Looked phenomenal tonight. And you guys listening to this podcast, you might be tired of us talking about Yegor, all this stuff, and especially in the preseason when you weren't able to see these games live and whatnot. Now you just see, man, like everybody.
Now you get it.
Now the hype train's going to be out of control, and we're the conductors.
We are. Yeah, we were. I like to say we were first in line. I mean, come on.
Yes, the first time we saw him, I remember. I think it was the first play of that scrimmage. You and I looked at each other. It was almost love at first sight. We're like, this guy. This is the number one thing I just kept saying like 1,000 times on our first episode was it's just different. Like, this is nothing that's ever been here at BYU. And honestly, the other point is I want this to be reiterated. I said I think he has the best vision in the country. That was on full display tonight.
It was a hot take back then, Carter, and I think it's like, I mean, the odds have moved significantly.
It's him and Elliot Cadeau from Carolina.
Right. I mean,
I would take Yegor.
I mean, I don't know if I have the sample size to go with you, but biasly, I would take Yegor Demin. He looked awesome tonight. Are we ready to talk about him as a draft prospect?
Let's do that in a bit. Let's do that after the break, but let's talk about some other guys tonight.
Let's do it.
Cannon Catchings, he came out. He was shooting a lot early.
He was. One of the things we've been saying about Cannon since the first start. He's not afraid to take his shots. Mm-hmm. He's got a confident stroke, and he's willing to, I mean, just put the ball in the basket, or at least put it up there. Going 4 of 11, not his greatest night. He did end up hitting threes and being put in the right position. Honestly, Carter, I mean, I would take a kid shooting that every night over, being timid and not willing to shoot, which was some of the problem with last year's BYU team, to be honest.
And it seemed like the game plan coming out of the gates was, hey, get Cannon the ball early and have him go. Have him shoot immediately.
Yeah, they drew up plays for him, and he was always on alert, making sure he was in the right spot on the offense, and was, like I said, just willing to put it up.
Yeah, and also, too, his stat line, he went 6 of 13, 4 of 11 from 3 in this game. He started 1 for 5, so he closed the game really well.
He did. Yeah, he found his shot later on. I got to stop saying stroke. He found his shot later on, and, people like to compare him to Jackson Robinson. In fact, we were doing it a little bit, and we don't like to compare here, but I'd say very similar styles, very similar playing. Cannon's he's very long, mm-hmm. and he seems a little more on the consistent side when it comes to shooting, and he seems more willing to attack the basket and get into it. Even on defense, 3 blocks tonight for Cannon as well.
For sure. Another takeaway from tonight, I don't know if you felt this way. I think there's 2 things to this. One, there was a lot more ISO ball than what we're used to and what BYU fans are used to tonight, because especially last year with Mark Pope's offense, it was go, 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 pass, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. And tonight it was a lot more slowed down. We definitely saw more of an NBA offense tonight. But I think that's just based off personnel. When you have a guy like Yegor or Cannon and those guys can go one-on-one. It's just sometimes it was, like I said, a little stale.
It was, especially in that first half when they didn't really have things figured out. They shot 44 threes tonight, Carter, which actually is on pace for blowing out. If that's the first game, but even last year's team didn't shoot that much on an average night. So obviously it's Central Arkansas, but I'll agree with you. A lot of the threes they took in that, especially in that first half, weren't very much in rhythm. Mm-hmm. It was not in the flow of the offense. There was hesitation there. But at the end of the day, I mean, you want these guys shooting it, and that's what basketball's turned into. That's how you start to win games. I think the difference between this year's and last year's team, though, is that ability to work the ball inside when the 3-pointers weren't hitting. There was never really, it wasn't like if they're not hitting it, then it's over. Obviously, it's Central Arkansas. It wasn't going to be over in any sense, right? But there's a little bit of a difference here. I mean, going 15 for 44 isn't the greatest night from 3, but at least they're willing to shoot it.
And on the defensive side of the ball, you only give up 50 points in a game like that, and you shot 44 threes, and you shot what, 30 what percent? I can't do math. That's why we're doing a sports podcast.
34.1%.
So you do that and you win by almost 40. It's a good night. And without one of your best players in Dallin Hall playing tonight.
Absolutely. It's a great night. I mean, and only 10 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad for any team in college basketball. It's just the way college kind of goes, and basketball in general. Just looking at any other numbers here, 11 steals is awesome. BYU is long, and Kevin Young even said, in the post-game presser here, that Central Arkansas's coach came up to him and complimented him on the team's length and their ability to tip balls and get those steals, and they were very active on the defensive end tonight.
I want to talk more about that, but let's take a quick break. You mentioned right before we went to break about the length of BYU and how Central Arkansas's coach complimented Kevin Young on it. I think that's going to be the difference in this year's team, is just the different lineups they can throw at people. I think we obviously saw today, Robbie McCombs tweeted out that Boskovic is going to be eligible this year. Obviously, he played tonight, so there's no issues there. Sounds like they knew a little bit ago, according to the press conference. It seemed like this wasn't an issue very recently. But going off of that, they can just throw so many different lineups at you this year. They have real size and real athleticism, like we said all preseason, but we're actually seeing it in action tonight, and it's really impressive.
It is, and Boskovic really impressed us tonight with his ability to kind of have the game slowed down from as well, like Yegor, and again, that comes with that experience playing overseas. Mm-hmm. He also, and Kevin Young complimented as well, and I keep throwing Kevin Young quotes in here, but it was a great press conference if you didn't get to listen to it. Talked about how he kind of settled things down for BYU when he came into the game and was able to knock down some shots. He plays tough defense. There's a point there where he was playing the 5, and he had to lock down, the biggest guy on the court, and he did a good job. And I think he has the ability to play, at least defend, perimeter to big. And so great outing from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to see a lot more of him throughout the season. I think he was fantastic tonight. Another thing I wanted to touch on as well, Yegor is an NBA draft prospect.
Yeah. If you aren't too tapped into NBA draft, this upcoming draft, number 1, Cooper Flag.
Yep.
That's a foregone conclusion.
Lock, no matter what, even with an injury, knock on wood. He's going to be the number 1 pick. And then I believe Jonathan Givony, I hope I said that right. Is it Givony?
I couldn't tell you.
I can't tell you. The ESPN draft guy, he said that Yegor is going to be, he had him at 11, I believe, on his last mock draft. Talked to someone here at the game tonight. They said 8th.
Said 8th. Yeah, he said, and we got to give him a shout out here a little.
Yeah.
To Matt Badcock, who was in town, and we talked a little bit to him. He's a great guy. Go check out his stuff on Twitter. He has him at 8th, he told us, and he said he probably would move up even more just after tonight, Carter. And he said he loved what he saw from both him and Cannon. But as an NBA draft prospect, they had a lot of scouts here, and what you're looking for in the NBA isn't exactly like, is this guy going to get buckets in college? Mm-hmm. Right? We've seen plenty of talented dudes at the D1 level who've been able to put the ball in the hoop, and they just don't pin on the NBA. What you need to do is be able to figure out how you play a role in the league, how you can make your teammates better, and that's kind of the new way of basketball. You look at someone like Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, who again are Europeans, and so it's easy to compare to Yegor Demin, but their ability to make the teammates better, to see the court, to slow the game down, that's what's more impressive than his ability to hit step-back three-point jumpers, which he was also doing tonight.
And he mentioned that in the press conference. He says, look, my number 1 job is to get guys involved early on before I start scoring, before I get mine, basically. I'm going to get everybody involved. I'm a pass-first guy. And to be honest, that's so rare to find nowadays, especially in American sports. I mean, that's how the European game is played, obviously. But in college basketball, it feels so rare in an era of AAU and NIL. That's not happening. Usually it's I'm going to get mine. Usually it's I'm going to go get buckets. I'm going to score. I'm going to shoot the ball. It's my team. And it's almost refreshing to hear that and see that on the court.
Absolutely. I mean, and this kid, I mean, dude, let's be honest. Let's just rename this the Yegor Demin Show. It's the Yegor Demin Show. I mean, it's so wise and mature beyond his years. Yep. When it comes to the basketball court, and he just understands it. I mean, he gets the game. He sees it differently than a lot of these guys do. And so, I mean, just to reiterate everything you said, his ability to see the game bigger than himself. You can tell he wants to win. You know, he doesn't. I really don't think he cares about his own individual stats.
We keep making the comparison to the Doncic's and Jokic's and whatnot, but it is a clear comparison because, you know, in the NBA during that Embiid versus Jokic MVP season, it was, Jokic is stat padding. He's doing the Russell Westbrook stat padding, triple doubles and whatnot. And watching BYU tonight, someone might say, he was stat padding. He was trying to get a double-double. If you watch the game, it was, no, he was making the right play every single time down the court.
It was. I mean, like I said, a week ago, he scored 0 points, and he didn't care less.
And he controlled that game.
Exactly.
That's what's so underrated.
He still was the best guy in the court.
Multiple people have said this. I've said this in private circles. Someone on Twitter actually commented at us. I wish I had the on hand, but just shades a little Magic Johnson, where it can control the game without scoring the ball. He can rebound. He's got the size and just the ability to get others involved. I'm not saying he's Magic Johnson or he's going to be Magic Johnson and win NBA MVPs and NBA Finals and whatnot, but shades of, as Kevin O'Connor likes to say. Shades of. I mean, even Kevin Young said shades of LeBron James.
That's what I was going to say. Kevin Young compared him to LeBron James. Now, he made sure to not go overboard with it and put a disclaimer.
Don't misquote me, but
he basically said Yegor's the next LeBron James. Yeah. Not to misquote him, but he's the next LeBron. Yeah.
Just kidding. I promise, Kevin. We're not misquoting you.
Of course not.
Of course. Anything else from tonight?
To be a little bit negative, the secondary unit was not great, Carter.
No, they struggled, but I that's not something I'm concerned about, to be honest. Like, it was a little tough at first, but then you're like, okay, a lot of these guys, one, they're new, they haven't really played together yet, and like, this is going to go back to Yegor once again, so rename it the Yegor Demin Show, but it's so easy to play with a guy like Yegor that gets you the ball and just creates space and gets guys open like that, and then when he comes off the court, and you have guys who are younger, and it just doesn't flow as well because you don't have that continuity yet. I'm not worried about it at all. What we saw with the second unit tonight, a little too much ISO ball from the second unit, but
I'll zag just a little bit. I'll say I'm a little bit worried. I put my meter like 6 or 7%. Like, again, it's not a lot
out of 100.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
so barely, but like a little bit. The non-Yegor minutes, BYU only won by 3, which it goes to show how awesome Yegor Demin is and how much we love him, but also goes to show you got to have something when he's not there.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it tonight. I mean, obviously Dallin Hall was hurt, and he would take a lot of those non-Yegor minutes.
And that's another thing. That's what goes to my not being panicked, really, is if Dallin Hall's playing tonight, let's say he comes in, because I feel like once the season gets rolling and Dallin's playing and healthy and Yegor's playing, I don't think we'll ever see Dallin or Yegor off the court together. I think one of them will be in the game at all times. One of them will be playing.
Yeah, to control that offense and get it going. So, I agree. Nothing else from this game other than Kevin Young refused to take anyone out. Yegor played to the very end. They're up 40, and Yegor, and he didn't put in a single one. Kozlowski, 0 minutes tonight. I don't know if
Jared McGregor, 0 minutes.
Max Triplett and Townsend Triple both posting zeros on the minute column. I don't know what that is. It probably just is his first game, and he wants to just see what he's got. It's not a big deal.
Just get as much in-game experience as possible. That would be my guess.
It's not a big deal. It just was a little like, hey, you have 40 and 2 minutes left, and
it was just
subbing anyone in.
But I really just think it's probably just get as much game experience as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about some other stuff, and let's take a quick break.
Let's do it.
Chase, a couple more things I want to touch on. Dallin Hall didn't play tonight. Kevin Young kind of gave an update-ish. He wasn't very, he didn't really say much. Basically, they're being very cautious, and basically he's like, he needs to be 110% before he plays in these early regular season games.
Big time. Kevin Young was vague, and I think that's just how head coaches are, and that's what they're going to do. Dallin was hurt enough to not travel for the Big 12 media days, and now it's, he's not dressing. I have actually zero information on the injury or timeline or anything, but going forward, especially again based on what we saw tonight, BYU needs Dallin Hall to be healthy to get there, and I think he will. I don't think it's season ending. I mean, he's walking fine. He's not wearing anything that we can see. Yeah. So, I can't imagine it's anything super serious. But as of right now, I don't know if there's a timeline on his return.
Yeah, they need him to return. I think ideally you would want him back, especially a couple games before the San Diego tournament, because you want to get him acclimated to this team and just playing with these guys in a real in-game setting, especially before you're going against just super well-coached teams like Chris Beard and Ole Miss and Matt Painter and Purdue on a neutral court during Thanksgiving. I think you got to have him back, especially having veteran leadership.
Yeah, and getting him acclimated back into it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's a whole new season, right? And a whole new offense for him. He's had to learn a bunch of things as well as these other guys, and so I think it's important because I think it's a big tournament. It's kind of your first real test, and maybe only one of the non-con. I don't want to be rude to very many other teams here, but they don't.
Providence will be tough. It's a road game.
It's a road game. Boy, Providence did not look great yesterday.
They did struggle, yeah, absolutely. But besides the Providence game, yeah, it's the San Diego.
It's no one, and the Big 12 is looking. I mean, UCF knocked off Texas A&M, and so I mean the Big 12 looks as tough as ever.
Yeah, Baylor got blown out.
Baylor got blown out.
Yeah, that was a rough game, but we're not a Baylor podcast. So we don't have to talk about that, huh?
Sick 'em.
Yeah, sick 'em, I guess. Any other thoughts on this game? And BYU basketball.
No, BYU basketball's awesome. You're going to love watching them. You're going to love watching number 3.
Oh, another thing is if you're a BYU basketball fan and you didn't do it last season, get ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Like it's worth it. You're sitting there like, I don't know if I want to pay the $10 a month, whatever it is. Get it. It's worth it to watch this team play. If you have ESPN Plus tonight and you watch this game, you're like, oh my gosh, dude, I would have paid $30 a month to watch this team play. Get it. It's worth it. Watch this team. And also like and subscribe to this show as well while you're at it.
Yeah, if you're a BYU fan, like all we talk about is BYU. So make sure to check us out. If you're an anyone fan, check us out.
Yeah. Just hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Make a bunch of burners. Hit subscribe. Hit like and subscribe on everything.
My point is, if you just like college basketball, you're going to love Yegor Demin.
Yes.
We can't say enough about it. Like, you will love this kid.
If you have played basketball in your life, if you have watched basketball in your life, you will love watching this kid play. I mean, oh my goodness, we can't say enough good things about him because we've already done it for 20 minutes. So,
exactly.
Before we wrap up here, I know this is a BYU basketball pod, and we were just talking about that, but we should talk about the Holy War. We got BYU Utah this week.
This is
football.
Arguably the greatest BYU season in like 30 plus years, if you don't count 2020. I mean, this certainly has the potential to be better. So we had to touch a little bit on it. This is the biggest game of the season, Carter, at Utah, Saturday, 8:15 kick.
Concern level for you, 1 through 10.
I'm concerned.
1 through 10.
8.
8?
It's high.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm about a 7.5 on the concern meter.
I'm concerned, especially I think the fact that it doesn't sound like Isaac Wilson's going to be starting. It makes me even more concerned for BYU.
Yeah, because he's doing all the tricky things, playing this, playing that. You don't know what he's going to whip out there on Saturday night. Games at Rice Eccles night game. Chase, we've talked about this multiple times, and we've been wrong on this BYU football team. We're a BYU basketball podcast. Reminder, we're a BYU basketball podcast, but we've been wrong on this BYU football team, and I said this on the Karter cast on our college football show today. As a BYU fan, it feels slightly too good to be true that this is all happening right now.
I put this out on Twitter. This might end up being the greatest athletic year in BYU athletic history if they can be a good basketball team, make a tournament run, land the number 1 recruit, go to a college football playoff. It all hinges kind of, though, on this weekend, Carter. Can they beat Utah?
And if they win that test at Utah, the line right now on BetMGM, I believe, is BYU by 4. That's a sketchy line, but we've seen this Utah team has looked awful. They have looked
month straight.
For a month straight. It's a disaster there. Guys have given up on the field, but guess what? Guys are going to play hard in a rivalry game like this. This is their one last shot. This one and maybe Colorado, and the rest of the season, I don't think this Utah team's going to care.
I totally agree. And it's a rivalry game. It's late at night. It's in Salt Lake. Anything can happen.
I'm so excited for it. I'm nervous though. I'm very nervous. You'll be at the game though.
I'll be there. Yeah, make sure to follow me and Carter.
I will not be at the game.
Me specifically, I'll be tweeting a bunch from the game. Field access, lots of videos, quotes, in-game stuff, maybe some memes. Who knows?
I've got multiple fall weddings this year.
You need new friends.
Brutal stuff. Brutal stuff. I mean, luckily this is a late enough game where won't it won't matter with the wedding, but wanted to be here, but nope, I'll be in Phoenix this weekend, so
you're going to be missing out. But we'll see. It's going to be a great environment. Look, BYU's the better team.
Yeah, let's analyze the game real quick.
Yeah.
BYU is the better team.
Yeah.
It's solely just because you're like, okay, Kyle Whittingham, this could potentially be his last BYU Utah game ever. He might retire after this.
It probably is. I'm not afraid to say that. You're
telling me he's not going. This is not all he wants. It's interesting. I also tweeted this out before the season. It was, BYU Super Bowl is the Utah game on November 9th. That's completely flipped to now where every Utah fan Super Bowl is against BYU on November 9th. And BYU's looking at bigger things and coming off a bye. Oh, my goodness. Luckily, both teams are coming off a bye, so you can't really put too much stock into that.
Yeah, you said it, Carter. I mean, Utah now has nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. That's what's so scary.
Any preseason aspirations they had are out the window. Now it's make a bowl game, ruin BYU's season.
And Jake Retzlaff has been awesome this season. They have to play complimentary football. They cannot turn the ball over. That's number one thing for BYU. If they don't have any turnovers in this game, they're winning this football game.
Yeah, BYU famously in Utah games gets killed on turnovers, loses momentum. It's a huge swing. It's a big deal. And in these rivalry games and up in Utah, you can't afford to just be swinging momentum left and right. It's not going to sustain. So he's going to need to be big. The defense is going to need to figure out whoever's playing quarterback, and especially running back Mekhi Bernard, is an absolute baller. And so you're going to have to stop him at the line of scrimmage. You're going to have to play solid defense against good receivers. And you just got to, handle the emotions, the energy. It's a huge game. BYU's going to get up for it. They're going to be hyped. It's just, can you control that and take care of business? Because they're better, man.
And that BYU D-line and that defense should have success against this Utah offensive line, but we'll find out Saturday. It's a rivalry game. It's a close spread. It's on the road for BYU. It's almost this throw stats out the window game.
Honestly, it is. It's a stay away if you're a casual bettor. If you think you know BYU Utah, then go have at it. But it's a rivalry, man. You never know. You never know. Friday night, on the other hand.
Real quick, before we go into Friday night, super quick, give me a score prediction for Saturday night.
For Saturday night? Can I?
Holy War, BYU Utah.
Do I have to pick BYU? Is that what we're doing? Because we're on this podcast. I genuinely think Utah wins. I really do. And I don't think it ruins BYU's season because at this point, 3-1 gets you in the Big 12 championship game.
And that's all that matters because we saw with the college football playoff tonight, the rankings, it really feels like now they're saying, hey, one Big 12 team, that's it.
Yeah, so you need to go to that game. You need to win it. So I think, BYU fans are going to hate me. They're going to hate me. I think Utah wins. I think they win 32-25.
That's a little high scoring for this game. The total's 40.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You want my advice? Smash the over on that.
Go to BetMGM.
I think there's some touchdowns.
If you do that sort of thing, go to BetMGM.
I think there's some touchdowns in this game. Yeah.
You think there's some touchdowns in this game? That's such a low. That's an Iowa total.
Yeah.
They
that's
really
crazy.
Yeah.
That's like the Jets versus the Patriots total. What's your score prediction?
Are going to hate this podcast.
Oh no, dude, we can't both do it.
Utah 21, BYU 20.
Oh yeah, this is a heartbreaker.
Just gross.
BYU goes for 2 again.
Just gross. I hate it. I hate my prediction. That's why my concern level's at almost at an 8.
BYU fans, we are also BYU fans. Like, we want to beat Utah badly. Don't get it twisted. Don't get our predictions wrong. We just have to be honest,
And I think we're just pessimistic. I think that's all it comes down to.
I think we're a fan of the reverse jinxes, and we're a little pessimistic. Yeah,
I'm not reverse jinxing at all.
Not at all.
UC Riverside Friday night, BYU basketball.
Friday night, yeah.
What do you want to see on Friday night?
I want to see like I said, the big concern for me is the second unit. I want to see Elijah Crawford play better. I want to see Mag get more involved.
I want to see Dawson Baker knock down some shots. He had a tough night tonight.
Yeah, I want to see all those things, and I want to continue to see Yegor just because I love watching him play basketball. But that's what I really want to see. The second unit show me, okay, you guys cannot come in and lose a game for BYU.
Yep, that's the other thing. I just want to see Yegor Demin play. Is that a cop out answer? But yeah, I mean, this isn't also an easy answer, but I also want to see Dallin Hall play. Hopefully we get to see him Friday night, see him how he's acclimating to this team and what the lineups look like, what the rotations look like, because that's going to be getting figured out up until November 23rd against Mississippi Valley State. And I think they'll have their rotations pretty in line by Thanksgiving, and I think that's probably the goal. They're going to be doing a lot of experimenting from now until then, though.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Young even said today, he's like, once we're all healthy, there's 3 guys that could come off the bench who are good enough to be starters. And so what that looks like, we'll see. I think, yeah, like Thanksgiving in that San Diego tournament, we should really start to figure it out and see what's going on. So,
and we'll be doing live podcasts during Thanksgiving. You're going to have to tell your wife, Chase, be like, hey, sorry, I'm going to have to leave dinner.
It's going to be turkey time. And they're going
to be like whipping out the turkey, saying prayer. And you're like, hey, I got to go record some church ball.
Yegor Demin's playing basketball.
Yeah, Yegor Demin's playing basketball. Like, I love you guys, but yeah, this is what I'm grateful for.
All right. Grateful for Yegor Demin.
Grateful for Yegor Demin. That's going to be our whole Thanksgiving podcast. Huh? Anyhow, all right, that's it from us. Thank you for tuning into the Yegor Demin Show. Make sure to subscribe. Field of 68 Podcast Network on YouTube. If you're watching right now, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast, follow or subscribe, rate, review, give us a 5-star review.
Give us your Utah prediction.
Yes.
Tell us we suck on social media. We can take it. We can take the heat.
Our DMs are open too. You can do it on there. You can comment at us. We don't care. We'll respond.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
We hope we're wrong. So
at Church Ball Pod on everything.